Today's story. Chapter 1. The cracks appear. Mark Ashton stared at his phone screen, his jaw tightening as he read the group email about the upcoming Christmas trip to Europe. The annual family tradition, stretching back 15 years, had always been a highlight of their year. But this time, something was different. His name was conspicuously absent from the itinerary. The tech company he'd built from scratch hummed around him, developers and project managers rushing past his glass-walled office. He'd sacrificed countless hours to build this empire, always with one goal in mind: providing the best life possible for his family. Unlike his own father, Robert, who treated his children as mere accessories to his success, Mark had sworn to be different. He scrolled through the email again, scrutinizing every detail. Emily and Lily were scheduled for the full 2-week trip, their names appearing multiple times throughout the detailed agenda. The pit in his stomach grew deeper. His intercom buzzed. "Mr. Ashton, your wife is here to see you." Emily walked in, her designer boots clicking against the floor. Her auburn hair was freshly styled, and she carried herself with an artist's natural grace. The same grace that had captivated him during their college days, when she was the vibrant art student who saw beauty in everything. "Emily," he said, turning his monitor toward her. "Care to explain this?" She glanced at the screen, her expression carefully neutral. "Oh, the Christmas trip? I thought Mom and Dad told you." "Told me what exactly?" His voice remained steady, controlled. "Well," she fidgeted with her phone, recent habit that set his teeth on edge. "They thought it might be nice for Lily and me to have some quality time. You're always so busy with work, and I'm busy providing for this family," he cut in. "Since when does that exclude me from family traditions?" Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it reflexively, her fingers moving to respond before she caught herself and tucked it away. "Mark, please don't make this into something it's not. It's just a trip. Who keeps texting you?" "What?" "Your phone. It's constant these days. Art classes, lunch with friends. You're barely home anymore." Her cheeks flushed. "Are you spying on me?" "Noticing my wife's behavior isn't spying, Emily. This is exactly why everyone thought some space would be good," she snapped. "You're suffocating me with your constant questions and accusations." Mark leaned back in his chair, studying her. The woman before him was increasingly unrecognizable from the one he'd married. "Everyone? Who's everyone?" "Your parents, my parents, David." "David?" The name hung in the air between them. "Your art friend, David?" Emily's phone buzzed again. This time, he caught a glimpse of the screen before she snatched it away. The message preview showed a heart emoji. "I have to go," she said quickly. "I have a class." "Another art class?" His voice dripped with skepticism. "Yes, another art class. Some of us have aspirations beyond making money, Mark." She turned and strode out, leaving behind the faint scent of her perfume and a growing sense of unease. Mark pulled up his sister Sarah's number. If anyone knew what was really going on, it would be her. Sarah had always been his confidant, the one person in the family who valued truth over appearances. "Sarah, we need to talk." "Mark." Her voice was hesitant, unusual for his typically forthright sister. "I was actually about to call you. What's going on with this Christmas trip? Why am I being excluded?" A long silence followed. "There's something you need to know. Can you meet me?" 30 minutes later, Mark sat across from Sarah at a quiet cafe several blocks from his office. Her hands wrapped around her coffee cup, knuckles white with tension. "Just tell me," he said. Sarah took a deep breath. "Emily's having an affair." "With David." The words hit him like a physical blow, but he maintained his composure. "How long have you known?" "A few weeks. I saw them together at that new restaurant downtown." They weren't exactly being discreet. She reached for his hand. "Mark, there's more. David. He's going on the Europe trip." Mark withdrew his hand, his expression hardening. "Tell me everything you know about him." "He's an art dealer. Works with several galleries in the city." "He's known Emily for years, apparently." Sarah hesitated. "Mom and Dad, they know about it. They're helping Emily keep it quiet." "Our parents are facilitating my wife's affair?" His voice remained eerily calm. "They say they're protecting the family image. You know how they are about appearances." Sarah's disgust was evident. They're worried about how a divorce would look, especially with your company's upcoming IPO. Mark stood abruptly. Thank you for telling me the truth. What are you going to do? Nothing for now. His smile didn't reach his eyes. I need to understand the full scope of this betrayal first. Over the next few days, Mark maintained his routine. He went to work, came home at his usual time, and acted as if nothing had changed. But beneath the surface, he was gathering information. He hired a private investigator, installed monitoring software on their home network, and began documenting every suspicious interaction. The evidence mounted quickly. Emily's art classes were meetings with David at his downtown loft. The lunch dates with friends were romantic rendezvous at expensive restaurants. The late-night phone calls were passionate conversations with her lover. But the most damaging discovery came from Lily. His 16-year-old daughter, the light of his life, had been keeping their secret. He found her in the kitchen one evening, working on her homework.
Emily was at another art class.
Lily, he said, sitting across from her. We need to talk about your mother. She kept her eyes on her textbook. I'm really busy with this assignment, Dad. Look at me. His tone brooked no argument. Lily slowly raised her head, her eyes already filling with tears. Please don't. How long have you known about David? I don't know what you're talking about. Her hands trembled as she gripped her pencil. Don't lie to me. Not you too. His voice was soft but carried an edge that made her flinch. The pencil snapped in her grip. Mom said, she said it would hurt you too much. She made me promise not to tell. And you agreed to lie to me? To help them deceive me? Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't know what to do. Mom said if I told you, it would destroy our family. Mark laughed, a harsh sound devoid of humor. Your mother already destroyed our family when she chose to betray me. And you helped her do it. Please don't be angry. I'm not angry, Lily. I'm disappointed. I thought I'd raised you better than this. He stood up. Go to your room. I need to think. As Lily fled upstairs, Mark poured himself a glass of whiskey and sat in the darkness of his home office. The betrayal was complete. His wife, his daughter, his parents, they had all chosen to deceive him, to protect Emily's affair rather than his dignity. When Emily returned home later that night, she found him waiting in the kitchen. The evidence of her infidelity was spread across the table: photographs, text messages, hotel receipts. Sit down, he commanded. She froze in the doorway, her face draining of color. Mark, I can explain. Sit
Down.
She sank into a chair, her eyes fixed on the damning collection before her. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? His voice was unnaturally calm. Did you think you could humiliate me like this and get away with it? It's not what you think. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't insult my intelligence with denials. I know everything. About David, about the Europe trip, about how long this has been going on. I know our parents have been covering for you. I know our daughter has been lying for you. Emily's defiance crumbled. I never meant to hurt you, but you did. Deliberately and repeatedly. He gathered the evidence into a neat pile. I want you out of my house. Both of you.
Tonight.
Mark, please. You have 1 hour to pack your essentials. Anything you leave behind will be donated or destroyed. I've already contacted my lawyers. They'll be serving you with divorce papers tomorrow. You can't do this. Where are we supposed to go? His smile was cold, ruthless. I'm sure David has room at his loft. After all, you've been spending enough time there already. Emily burst into tears, but Mark remained unmoved. He'd shed his last tear for her the day Sarah revealed her betrayal. Now, there was only ice in his veins. As Emily stumbled upstairs to pack, Mark made a series of calls. By morning, Emily's access to their joint accounts would be revoked, her credit cards canceled, her name removed from their club memberships and social circles. He would dismantle her comfortable life piece by piece, just as she had destroyed his. The sound of suitcases being dragged down the stairs signaled the end of his marriage. Emily and Lily stood in the foyer, their faces tear-stained and fearful. Dad, please, Lily begged. Don't make us leave. You made your choice when you chose to lie for her. His voice was devoid of emotion. Actions have consequences. It's time you both learned that lesson. He watched from the window as they loaded their bags into Emily's car and drove away into the night. The house felt empty, but his heart felt emptier. The life he'd built, the family he'd cherished, had been nothing but an elaborate deception. Mark Ashton poured himself another whiskey and began to plan. This wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning. Emily, David, his parents, even Lily. They would all learn the true cost of betrayal. He would make sure of it. Chapter 2. The Exclusion and the Unthinkable. The December rain pelted against Mark's office windows as he immersed himself in his investigation. His computer screen glowed with social media profiles, email records, and bank statements, a digital trail of betrayal that grew more extensive with each passing day. His private investigator had delivered a comprehensive report that morning. David wasn't just Emily's lover. He had been a constant presence in their lives for years. Photos from gallery openings, charity events, and family gatherings showed him lurking in the background, always watching Emily with poorly concealed desire. Mark's mouse hovered over a Facebook album from 3 years ago. Emily and David stood close together at an art exhibition, their body language intimate even then. His wife's smile was radiant, genuine in a way it hadn't been with him for years. A notification popped up, new photos from the Europe trip. His fingers tightened on the mouse as he clicked through them. Emily and Lily posing in front of Christmas markets, shopping bags in hand. His parents, Robert and Susan, playing the doting grandparents. And there, in image after image, was David, integrated into his family as if he belonged there. "Mr. Ashton?" His assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Your daughter is trying to reach you. Should I put her through?" Mark stared at a particularly damning photo, David's arm around Emily's waist, Lily laughing at something he'd said. "No. Tell her I'm in meetings all day." He opened another tab, accessing the hidden profiles he'd discovered. Emily and David had been careless, their passion making them sloppy. Their messages to each other painted a vivid picture of their affair. "I've loved you since the day we met," Emily had written. "Mark was always a means to an end, a way to escape my parents' control. But you understand my soul." David's response made Mark's blood boil. "Soon, my love. Once the divorce is finalized, we'll no longer have to hide. Mark's money will set us up nicely, and we can finally be together openly." A knock at his office door interrupted his dark thoughts. Sarah entered, her face etched with concern. "You're not answering anyone's calls," she said, settling into a chair across from him. "I've been busy." "Busy torturing yourself with their social media?" She gestured at his screen. "This isn't healthy, Mark. What's not healthy is my entire family conspiring to humiliate me." He turned the monitor toward her. "Look at them. One big happy family, with David playing my role." Sarah leaned forward, her voice gentle but firm. "You need to talk to Lily at least. She's been calling me, crying." "Crying?" Mark's laugh was harsh. Was she crying when she helped them hide their affair? When she lied to my face day after day? She's just a child. She's 16, not 6. Old enough to know right from wrong. He pulled up another photo, this one showing Lily and David in animated conversation. "Look how comfortable she is with him. How long do you think this has been going on? How long has he been playing father to my daughter?" Sarah fell silent, studying her brother. The warm, generous man who'd helped her through her divorce, who coached his daughter's soccer team, who built his company on principles of loyalty and trust. That man was disappearing before her eyes, replaced by someone harder, colder. "What are you planning, Mark?" He closed the browser windows. "Nothing they don't deserve. That's what worries me." She stood up. "Don't let their betrayal turn you into someone you're not. Maybe this is who I've always been." His smile was razor sharp. "They just never gave me a reason to show it before." After Sarah left, Mark received another report from his investigator. This one contained medical records, school documents, and a bombshell that shattered his world anew. Questions about Lily's paternity. He spent hours poring over the records, noting discrepancies in dates, suspicious medical appointments, and carefully hidden payments from accounts he'd never known existed. The truth began to take shape, a truth so devastating it threatened to break him completely. That evening, He drove to a discreet medical facility on the outskirts of town. The DNA test was quick, professional, and completely confidential. As he waited for the results, Mark thought back to Lily's birth, to Emily's insistence on using her own doctor, to the subtle comments about Lily's features not quite matching his. The results arrived 3 days later in a plain manila envelope. Mark sat in his parked car, rain drumming on the roof, as he read the report. The clinical language couldn't soften the blow. Lily was not his biological daughter. His phone buzzed. Another message from Lily. "Dad, please talk to me. I know I messed up, but I love you. You're my father, no matter what." The irony of her words made him laugh until tears streamed down his face. All those years of coaching soccer games, helping with homework, trying to be the father his own dad never was, it had all been built on a lie. He drove to his parents' house, needing answers. Robert and Susan Ashton lived in a sprawling mansion, their life's work displayed in every expensive fixture and carefully curated piece of art. "Mark." His mother's surprise was evident as she opened the door. "We've been trying to reach you." He pushed past her into the house. "Did you know?" Robert emerged from his study, drink in hand. "Know what?" Mark slapped the DNA results onto their imported marble coffee table. "About Lily. Did you know she wasn't mine?" The color drained from Susan's face. Robert's hand trembled, sloshing his scotch. Their reactions told him everything. "How long?" His voice was deadly quiet. "Mark, you have to understand," Susan began. "How long?" Robert stepped forward, ever the patriarch trying to control the situation. "We suspected. When Emily was pregnant. There were rumors about her relationship with David, but we thought it would be better for everyone if you let me raise another man's child? If you watched me love her, provide for her, build my life around a lie?" Mark advanced on his father, years of resentment boiling over. "You were so concerned about appearances, about what people would say, that you let me live a lie for 16 years. We did it to protect you," Susan pleaded. "To protect the family name." "The family name?" Mark's laughter was chilling. "The precious Ashton reputation meant more to you than your own son's dignity?" Robert set his glass down with a sharp crack. "Now listen here, son. What's done is done. Emily made her choices, but Lily is still your daughter in every way that matters. She is nothing to me." Mark's words cut through the air like ice. "Just like you are nothing to me. All of you, conspiring behind my back, playing happy families while laughing at the fool who didn't know he was raising another man's child." "Mark, please," Susan reached for him, but he jerked away. "Don't touch me. Don't contact me. Don't even speak my name." He gathered the DNA results. "You're dead to me, all of you." He strode out of their house, ignoring his mother's sobs and his father's angry calls. In his car, he pulled out his phone and made a series of calls to his lawyer, his accountant, his bank. "I want everything changed," he instructed his lawyer. "My will, my life insurance, my company shares, remove Lily from all of it. I want my parents and Emily blocked from accessing any information about me or my assets." "Mr. Ashton," his lawyer cautioned, "acting in anger might not be—" "This isn't anger," Mark cut in. "This is justice." Chapter 3. Seeds of Revenge. The following weeks passed in a blur of legal meetings and financial restructuring. Mark systematically dismantled every connection between himself and his former family. Each signature on each document was another nail in the coffin of his old life. His phone continued to buzz with messages and calls. "Emily, Mark, we need to talk about this. Lily needs her father." Delete. "Lily, Dad, please. I know I hurt you, but I'm still your daughter." Delete. "Robert, son, don't throw away 16 years of." Block. Sarah watched her brother's transformation with growing concern. She visited his office one afternoon, finding him absorbed in financial documents. "You've lost weight," she observed. "I've been busy." He didn't look up from his work. "Busy plotting revenge?" When he didn't respond, she pressed on. "I know they hurt you, Mark, but this cold, calculating persona, it's not you." He finally met her gaze. "The man you knew died the day he learned his entire life was a lie. This is who I am now." "And who is that exactly?" Someone who makes sure betrayal comes with consequences. He handed her a document. I'm cutting off all financial support. Emily's about to learn what life is like without access to my money. Sarah scanned the paper, her eyes widening. You're freezing everything? Even Lily's college fund? She's not my responsibility. His voice was flat. Let David pay for his daughter's education. Mark, unless you're here to help me, Sarah, we're done. He turned back to his work. I won't ask you to choose sides, but I won't discuss this further. That evening, Mark sat in his empty house, reviewing the information his private investigators had gathered about David. The man who had destroyed his family had his own weaknesses: gambling debts, professional rivalries, a reputation for dating wealthy women. Mark began making notes, mapping out pressure points and vulnerabilities. He would start small, testing the waters. An anonymous tip here, a pointed question there. He would watch their perfect little world crumble piece by piece. His phone buzzed. Emily again. This time, he answered. Mark. Her voice was hopeful. Thank you for picking up. We need to talk about... Actually, he interrupted. I just wanted to hear your voice one last time before I completely destroy your life. What are you talking about? You'll see. He hung up, a cold smile playing on his lips. The next day, he began implementing his plan. He contacted David's company anonymously, raising questions about professional ethics and relationships with client spouses. He sent carefully crafted emails to Emily's art gallery, suggesting her recent work showed signs of emotional instability. Small moves, but effective ones. The first cracks in their facade were appearing. His phone rang. Sarah again. Emily's hysterical, she said without preamble. The gallery dropped her, and David's being investigated at work. This is your doing, isn't it? I have no idea what you're talking about. Mark. She sighed. When does it end? When they've lost everything, just like I did. He ended the call. Sitting in his office later that night, Mark pulled up the photo album from the Europe trip one last time. His family. No, not his family anymore. Smiling and happy without him. He closed the browser and opened a new document, beginning to type. Phase 1. Financial isolation, complete. Phase 2. Professional disruption, in progress. Phase 3. Personal destruction, pending. The man who had valued family above all else was gone. In his place was someone harder, someone who would make them all pay for their betrayal. Mark Ashton 2.0. A man who had learned the hard way that love was weakness, and trust was for fools. As he worked late into the night, his phone slowly filled with desperate messages from Emily and Lily. He ignored them all, focused entirely on his plans for revenge. The old Mark might have felt guilt or remorse, but that man had died the day he learned the truth. The new Mark felt nothing but cold satisfaction as he watched their world begin to crumble. This was just the beginning. The real pain was yet to come. Chapter 4. Unraveling the thread. Mark sat in his home office, surrounded by monitors displaying various aspects of Emily and David's lives. The initial satisfaction of cutting off their financial support had worn off, replaced by a deeper hunger for retribution. On one screen, David's credit report revealed mounting gambling debts. On another, Emily's trust fund statements showed suspicious transactions. His phone buzzed. Another desperate message from Emily. Mark, please. We need to discuss the divorce settlement. Our lawyer says. He deleted it without reading further. Emily's desperate pleas for negotiation amused him now. She'd grown accustomed to his money, his lifestyle. Time to show her exactly what she'd lost. Mr. Ashton? His private investigator's voice came through the speaker. I have that information you requested about Mr. Chin's gambling habits. Go on. He's in deep with several bookies. Most significant is a guy named Tommy Martinez. David owes him close to 100 grand. Mark's fingers drummed against his desk. Can you arrange a meeting with Martinez? Sir, these aren't the kind of people you want to. Just set it up. The meeting took place in a private room at an upscale steakhouse. Tommy Martinez wore an expensive suit that couldn't quite hide his dangerous edge. He studied Mark with calculating eyes. So, you're the husband, Martinez said, cutting into his ribeye. Gotta say, didn't expect you to reach out. I have a proposition. Mark slid an envelope across the table. David Chin's debt. I'll buy it from you. Full amount, plus 20% for your trouble. Martinez's eyebrows rose. That's generous. But why would you want to help the guy who stole your wife? I don't want to help him. I want to own him. Understanding dawned on Martinez's face. He grinned. Now that's cold. I like it. He pocketed the envelope. Deal's done. Chin's debt is yours now. What are you going to do with it? Let it mature a bit longer. Mark's smile was predatory. I want him desperate before I make my move. Meanwhile, his investigation into Emily's finances had yielded another promising avenue. She'd been skimming from her family's trust fund for years, small amounts that added up to a significant sum. The trust administrators were old family friends who'd helped cover up her indiscretions. Mark composed an anonymous email, attaching bank statements and transfer records that proved the embezzlement. He sent it to all trust board members simultaneously. Within hours, Emily's phone exploded with angry calls from relatives. He watched through the security cameras he'd had installed near their apartment as Emily paced frantically on the balcony, gesturing as she argued with someone on the phone. David stood in the background, his own phone pressed to his ear, face growing increasingly pale as his bookie, now secretly Mark's proxy, demanded immediate payment. Sarah's number flashed on his phone. He considered ignoring it, but answered on the last ring. You're destroying them, she said without preamble. They destroyed themselves. I'm just exposing the truth. Emily's family is threatening to cut her off completely. She might lose her apartment. Good. Mark. Sarah's voice softened. I understand wanting revenge, but this seems excessive. Excessive? He laughed harshly. They lied to me for 16 years. They made me raise another man's child while everyone watched and laughed behind my back. This isn't excessive, Sarah. This is justice. And what about Lily? She's still in high school, Mark. Where will she live if Emily can't afford? That's David's problem now. He ended the call. Over the next few weeks, Mark orchestrated a series of small but devastating revelations. He anonymously sent Emily's parents proof that she'd been lying about attending therapy. The receipts she'd submitted for reimbursement were fake. He tipped off David's colleagues about his gambling addiction, ensuring the whispers reached his superiors. Each move was calculated to increase pressure on their relationship. He watched with satisfaction as they began to crack. Their social media posts grew less frequent, less cheerful. Emily's art became darker, more chaotic. David started missing work, spending hours at underground gambling dens that Mark's investigators monitored. One evening, his investigators sent him a video clip from a high-end bar. Emily sat close to a wealthy gallery owner, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm. David watched from across the room, his face twisted with jealousy. Mark picked up his phone and sent a text to the number he now controlled. Payment due in full by Friday, Mr. Chun. No more extensions. He watched David's expression change as he read the message, panic replacing jealousy. The other man grabbed his coat and hurried out, leaving Emily with her admirer. Perfect. That night, Mark sat in his study reviewing his progress. Phase 1 was nearly complete. The foundation of Emily and David's relationship was cracking. Time to accelerate the pressure. He opened his laptop and began drafting a new set of emails, each designed to plant seeds of doubt and suspicion. To Emily, evidence of David's past relationships with wealthy women, suggesting a pattern of financial exploitation. To David, hints about Emily's growing closeness to potential art world patrons. Let them tear each other apart. Chapter 5. The trap is set. Mark stared at the business card in his hands. Ashton Investments, specialized art investment opportunities. The logo, a subtle blend of sophistication and reliability, had been carefully designed to appeal to Emily's artistic sensibilities and David's financial aspirations. His team had spent weeks creating a convincing digital footprint for the fake company. Website, social media presence, glowing reviews from fictional clients, everything needed to withstand cursory due diligence. The actor is ready for his first meeting, his assistant reported. Mr. James Sterling, as requested, distinguished, cultured, exactly the type to run a boutique art investment firm. Mark nodded. And the gallery space? Rented for 6 months under a shell company. We've installed the artwork you selected, including several pieces similar to Emily's style. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Create a seemingly legitimate investment opportunity, one that would appeal to both Emily's artistic dreams and David's desperate need for financial stability. Let them convince themselves they'd found a way out of their mounting problems. Then destroy them completely. The first contact came through Emily's art world connections. James Sterling, sophisticated art investor, expressed interest in her work during a gallery opening. He praised her technique, her vision, dropping subtle hints about investment opportunities. Mark watched through hidden cameras as Sterling worked his magic. Emily practically glowed under the attention, especially when Sterling mentioned potential six-figure deals. David, hovering nearby, perked up at the numbers being discussed. Ashton Investments specializes in emerging artists. Sterling explained smoothly. We identify talented individuals early in their careers, provide financial support and gallery exposure, then share in their success. Your work, Ms. Ashton, shows remarkable promise. Emily's face fell slightly at her married name. It's just Emily now. Ah, my apologies. Sterling's rehearsed sympathy was perfect. Recently divorced? In process, David interjected, stepping closer to Emily. But we're looking forward to new beginnings. Sterling nodded knowingly. Often the best time to make bold moves, professionally speaking. Why don't we schedule a proper meeting to discuss possibilities? The meeting took place at Ashton Investments' temporary office suite. Mark watched from a secure location as Emily and David entered the expensively furnished space, their expressions a mix of hope and desperation. Sterling laid out the proposition. Ashton Investments would provide substantial backing for Emily's art, including a solo show at a prestigious gallery. In return, they wanted first rights to her future works and a percentage of sales. Additionally, Sterling added, noting David's keen interest, we offer our artist partners opportunities to participate in our investment fund. Many find it mutually beneficial. The bait was set. Now to reel them in slowly, carefully, letting their own greed and desperation do the work. Over the next month, Mark orchestrated a series of meetings and minor successes. Emily received a small advance for commissioned works. David was invited to exclusive investment seminars where other actors posed as successful clients. Their financial pressures mounted in parallel. Mark's control of David's gambling debt kept him on edge, while Emily's family trust issues remained unresolved. Ashton Investments began to look like their only salvation. They're ready, Sterling reported. Both of them. She's talking about finally achieving her artistic dreams. He's convinced this is his chance to prove himself financially. Mark smiled coldly. Time for phase 2. Start introducing complications. The first hint of trouble came via a regulatory delay. Sterling regretfully informed them that some paperwork needed revision, requiring additional fees. Emily and David, already emotionally invested, scraped together the money. Then came questions about Emily's divorce status potentially affecting contracts. More fees for expedited legal review. David maxed out his remaining credit cards to cover it. Sir, his assistant interrupted his monitoring. Ms. Ashton's mother is trying to reach you. She's threatening to go to the media about the trust fund situation. Let her. Mark's voice was ice. By the time this is done, Emily's reputation will be worthless anyway. He turned back to his screens, watching Emily and David argue in their apartment. The strain was showing. David's gambling urges were intensifying under the pressure. Emily's artwork was becoming erratic, her gallery pieces reflecting her inner turmoil. Perfect time to introduce the final push. Sterling called an emergency meeting. A major investor was interested in backing Emily's solo show, but they needed significant upfront capital to secure the venue and promotion. It's a tremendous opportunity, Sterling enthused. Career-making exposure. But we need commitment from both of you. Skin in the game, as they say. Emily turned to David, eyes pleading. David stared at the investment prospectus, mind clearly racing as he calculated angles and possibilities. How much? He asked finally. The number Sterling quoted made them both pale. But Mark had chosen it carefully. Large enough to hurt, but just barely within reach if they liquidated everything they had left. They signed the papers that evening. Mark watched via security feed as Emily's hand trembled on the pen, David's face tight with suppressed panic. They were all in now, betting everything on this one chance at redemption. Time to spring the trap. Chapter 6. Ruthless Revelation. The warehouse stood isolated on the city's outskirts, its industrial facade perfect for Mark's endgame. Inside, he'd prepared a simple scene: 3 chairs, a table, and a projector screen. Everything else remained in darkness. Emily and David arrived separately, responding to urgent messages from Sterling about investment irregularities. They found each other in the parking lot, confusion turning to concern as they approached the building's entrance. Mark watched their approach on his tablet. Emily wore the same perfume she'd worn throughout their marriage, but it smelled different to him now, like decay, like lies. David's expensive suit couldn't hide his nervous fidgeting, the tell of a gambler about to lose everything. Mr. Sterling? Emily's voice echoed in the vast space. James? The door was open. Welcome. Mark's voice cut through the darkness. Light snapped on, harsh and revealing.
Please sit down.
They froze, recognition and fear dawning on their faces. Mark emerged from the shadows, impeccably dressed in a black suit that matched his mood. Mark. Emily's voice quavered. What is this? Sit
Down.
They complied, the chairs scraping against concrete. David's eyes darted toward the exit, but Mark's 2 security contractors stepped into view, blocking escape. Ashton Investments. Mark's laugh held no humor. Did the name not tip you off? Or were you both too desperate, too greedy to question it? He clicked a remote. The projector screen came to life, displaying their signed contracts, investment transfers, emails full of hope and schemes. You thought you'd found salvation, he continued. A way out of the holes you dug yourselves into. Emily's art career revived, David's gambling debts resolved. A fresh start for the happy couple. You son of A. David started to rise, but one look from the security men sat him back down. No, David. You're the son of A.B. here. Mark clicked through more slides, photos of David's secret gambling sessions, Emily's meetings with other men, their separate acts of desperation and betrayal. I own your debt now, he informed David. All of it. One word from me and your kneecaps become negotiable with Mr. Martinez. David's face went ash white. Emily stared at him. What gambling debt? You said you'd stopped. Like you stopped flirting with that gallery owner? David snapped back. I saw you with him, while I was trying to figure out how to keep us afloat. Keep us afloat? Emily laughed hysterically. You're the reason we're drowning. My family might have forgiven the trust fund issue if you hadn't. Enough. Mark's voice cut through their bickering. Time for the final act. He drew an envelope from his jacket and slid it across the table. Emily's hands shook as she opened it, David reading over her shoulder. The DNA test results lay stark and damning on the page. 16 years, Mark said quietly. 16 years I raised another man's daughter. Loved her. Provided for her. While you all laughed behind my back. Mark, please. Emily's voice broke. Did you love me at all? The question surprised even him. Or was I just convenient? A stable provider while you kept seeing him? Emily's silence was answer enough. David shifted uncomfortably. Here's what happens now. Mark's voice returned to its cold register. The contracts you signed? Worthless. The money you invested? Gone. Your reputations? I'm about to destroy them completely. He outlined their fate clinically, watching their faces crumple as he detailed how thoroughly he'd ruined them. David's gambling addiction would be exposed to his firm. Emily's trust fund embezzlement would become public knowledge. Their social circles, professional connections, family relationships, all carefully poisoned beyond repair. You can't do this, David protested weakly. I already have. Mark stood. You took everything from me. My marriage. My daughter. My trust and family. Consider this your education and consequences. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and David? Your gambling debt comes due tomorrow. I suggest you start running. Their voices rose behind him, arguing, pleading, breaking down. Mark walked away, his security team falling in behind him. In his car, he opened his laptop to send the final series of emails that would complete their destruction. The warehouse cameras showed Emily and David still inside, their relationship dissolving into bitter accusations and recriminations. Mark allowed himself a small smile as he began typing. Phase 2 was complete. His revenge, carefully planned and meticulously executed, had succeeded beyond his expectations. They had taken his life apart piece by piece. He had returned the favor, with interest. The last email sent, Mark closed his laptop and instructed his driver to take him home. Behind him, in the growing darkness, Emily and David's world continued to implode, their dreams and schemes collapsing into ruins, just as he'd planned. Chapter 7. Rebuilding. Mark sat in his private office, reviewing the latest reports on Emily and David's downfall. His revenge had been executed flawlessly. Their careers destroyed, their reputations in tatters, their relationship crumbling under the weight of mutual accusations and blame. His phone buzzed with a message from his investigator. Mr. Chun spotted at underground casino again. Lost another $50K. Ms. Ashton threw him out of their apartment. He deleted the message without responding. The satisfaction of their destruction felt different now. Not hollow, exactly, but complete. Like a project successfully concluded. Sarah's name flashed on his screen. He considered ignoring it, but answered instead. Emily's living in her car, she said without preamble. Not my problem. Mark. Did you call for a reason, Sarah? A pause. The board meeting tomorrow. Are you really going through with this expansion? The company needs to grow. He pulled up the proposal on his screen. Aggressive acquisition strategy that would triple their market share. Personal issues don't affect business decisions. That's what I admire about you, Sarah said quietly. Even after everything, you never lost focus. Never let it derail your goals. Was that ever in doubt? No. But some of us worried revenge would consume you. Mark laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. Revenge was just another project to complete. Now it's done. He ended the call and turned to the stack of acquisition documents on his desk. His team had identified 3 promising startups in emerging markets. The negotiations would be complex, demanding his full attention. A notification popped up, another message from Lily. He moved to delete it but paused, cursor hovering over the screen. Her messages had changed lately, less desperate pleading and more something else. He opened it. Dad, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I'm starting college next month. Engineering, not art. I got a scholarship. I thought you should know I'm trying to build my own path, not following Mom's footsteps. That's all. Mark stared at the message. Engineering. Like him, he could picture her. Not the daughter who betrayed him, but the little girl who used to sit in his home office, watching him work, asking endless questions about how things functioned. He closed the message without responding and immersed himself in work. The next few weeks passed in a blur of meetings, negotiations, and strategic planning. His company's aggressive expansion drew attention from major players in the industry. Offers to buy him out started rolling in, each one more generous than the last. You could retire, his CFO pointed out during one late-night strategy session. Never work another day in your life. Mark dismissed the idea with a wave. Money was never the point. He threw himself into new projects, working longer hours than ever. When he wasn't at the office, he hit the gym, pushing his body to its limits. Physical exhaustion helped quiet his mind. His new routine was interrupted one morning by an unexpected visitor. Robert Ashton stood in his office lobby, looking older and smaller than Mark remembered. You can't be here, Mark told him flatly. 5 minutes. Robert's voice shook slightly. Please, son. The words sparked anger in Mark's chest. I'm not your son. You made that clear when you chose appearances over truth. We were wrong. Robert stepped forward. Your mother and I, we were wrong about everything. The way we raised you, the priorities we taught you, how we handled Emily's betrayal. Get out. Mark, please. We're selling the house, moving somewhere smaller. All those years of keeping up appearances, and for what? We lost what really mattered. Mark studied his father's face. The genuine anguish there, the desperate need for connection. Once, it might have moved him. Now it meant nothing. Security will escort you out, he said, pressing a button on his desk. Don't come back. As guards led his father away, Mark returned to his work. He had a company to run, deals to close, empires to build. The past was irrelevant. But that night, alone in his penthouse apartment, the emptiness felt heavier than usual. Not regret. He regretted nothing about his revenge. But perhaps something else. A recognition that destroying his enemies hadn't filled the void their betrayal created. He poured himself a drink and walked to the window, looking out over the city he'd conquered. In the reflection of the glass, he saw himself, successful, powerful, utterly alone. Maybe it was time for something new. Chapter 8. Reconciliation and Acceptance. The letter arrived on expensive paper, handwritten in Lily's familiar script. Mark had seen it coming. His sources kept him informed of her movements, her progress at university, her careful attempts to build an identity separate from her mother. He read it twice. Dear Dad, I've started my second semester of engineering. The work is challenging but fascinating. Yesterday in advanced physics, I found myself thinking about those science projects we used to do together. How you taught me to question everything, to look for elegant solutions to complex problems. I know I hurt you. I know I was weak when I should have been strong, letting Mom manipulate me into keeping her secrets. I've spent years trying to understand why I made those choices, trying to become someone stronger, someone more like you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not even asking for a response. I just wanted you to know that the lessons you taught me weren't wasted. That despite everything, you shaped who I'm becoming. Love, Lilith. Mark set the letter aside and pulled up his investigator's latest report. Lily's academic record showed top grades. Her social media revealed no contact with Emily, no art classes, no sign she was following her mother's path. She'd gotten a part-time job at a tech startup, supporting herself without family help. He opened his laptop and began typing. Your midterm project on quantum computing applications showed promise. The approach was innovative, but your energy efficiency calculations need refinement. Here are some references that might help. He attached several technical papers, then sat staring at the draft email. Sending it would open a door he'd sworn to keep closed. But perhaps a knock interrupted his thoughts. Sarah entered, carrying a thick file. The latest acquisition projections, she said, then noticed the letter. Lily? She's studying engineering. Sarah sat down. I know. She calls me sometimes, asking about you. Whether you're happy, if you're taking care of yourself. I don't need anyone's concern. No, Sarah agreed. But maybe you need something else. Connection. Purpose beyond revenge and business success. Mark's expression hardened. I had connection once. Look how that turned out. So you'll punish yourself forever because Emily betrayed you? Let one person's actions define your entire life? I'm not punishing myself. I'm protecting myself. Sarah picked up Lily's letter. She's not Emily, Mark. She's becoming her own person, and from what I see, she's becoming someone a lot like you. Strong, determined, unwilling to take the easy path. Mark was silent for a long moment. I can't be her father again. No one's asking you to be. But maybe you could be something else. A mentor, a guide, someone who helps shape her future without dwelling on the past. He thought about the email he drafted. Professional, detached, focused on intellectual rather than emotional connection. Maybe that was enough for now. The acquisition meeting starts in 10 minutes, he said, changing the subject. Sarah stood, recognizing the dismissal. At the door, she paused. You know what's ironic? In trying so hard not to be like your parents, putting appearances over substance, you've done exactly what they did. Just replaced their social mask with a corporate one. After she left, Mark sent the email to Lily. Then he immersed himself in work, pushing aside thoughts of family and connection. But later that week, when Lily's response arrived, a detailed technical discussion of her project, with thoughtful questions about his suggestions, he found himself engaging in the intellectual exchange. It was satisfying. Their correspondence continued, strictly professional at first. Mark reviewed her projects, suggested resources, offered career advice. Lily soaked up his guidance while maintaining careful boundaries, never pushing for more than he was willing to give. Chapter 9. The New Chapter. The woman across the conference table was unlike anyone Mark had met in years. Olivia Chun, no relation to David. He'd checked, radiated quiet competence and unshakable conviction. As his company's new legal counsel, She'd spent the meeting systematically dismantling his proposed acquisition strategy. The approach is too aggressive, she explained, highlighting key points in her presentation. It opens us to potential antitrust issues and unnecessary liability. Other executives shifted uncomfortably and used to hearing their CEO challenged so directly. But Mark found himself intrigued. Your alternative? Olivia outlined a more nuanced approach, equally effective but with better risk management. Her understanding of both legal complexities and business strategy impressed him. Implementation timeline? He asked. 3 months longer than your original plan, but with significantly higher probability of success. He nodded slowly. Do it your way. Later, he found himself staying late to discuss the details with her. Their conversation ranged beyond business to philosophy, art, literature. Olivia's mind was as sharp as her legal expertise. You've had an interesting career path, he observed, reviewing her file. Started in domestic violence advocacy before corporate law. I believe in justice, she said simply. Sometimes that means helping abuse survivors. Sometimes it means ensuring powerful companies operate ethically. And which am I? The abuse survivor or the powerful company? Her eyes met his steadily. Maybe both. Something shifted in that moment. A recognition, a possibility. Mark found himself sharing dinner with her the following week, then the week after. Their conversations remained predominantly intellectual, but underneath ran a current of deeper understanding. Olivia knew about his past. Her due diligence was thorough. She neither judged his revenge nor tried to heal him. She simply accepted who he was, scars and all. Emily called my office, she mentioned during one dinner. Trying to negotiate a better divorce settlement. Mark stiffened. That's not happening. I know. I informed her all communications go through official channels. Olivia sipped her wine. She's living in a shelter now. David disappeared to avoid his gambling debts. Good. You really don't feel anything for them anymore?
No.
It wasn't quite true. He felt satisfaction at their downfall, but the burning hatred had cooled to indifference. Olivia nodded, accepting his answer without comment. That was one thing he appreciated about her. She never pushed him to be something he wasn't. Their relationship evolved naturally, two strong-willed people finding unexpected common ground. When Mark finally kissed her, it felt like a business merger, thoroughly negotiated and mutually beneficial. Sarah was skeptical when he told her, "Are you sure you're ready?" "I'm not looking for redemption," he said, "or healing, or whatever you think I need. What are you looking for?" He considered the question. Partnership. Someone who understands strength doesn't mean invulnerability. The wedding was small, private, exactly as they wanted. Lily attended, their first face-to-face meeting in years. She was poised, professional, clearly nervous but determined to maintain boundaries. "Congratulations," she said formally, shaking his hand. "Ms. Chin's reputation in corporate law is outstanding." "Thank you." He hesitated, then added, "Your recent paper on quantum encryption was well-reasoned." A flash of their old connection passed between them, not father and daughter anymore, but perhaps something equally valuable. Mutual respect, shared intellectual passion. Emily sent a letter that arrived the morning after the wedding. Mark recognized her handwriting on the envelope and fed it straight into the shredder, unread. Some bridges stayed burned, but others could be carefully rebuilt. When Lily graduated summa cum laude in computer engineering, Mark attended the ceremony. They didn't speak, but he nodded acknowledgement of her achievement. She straightened under his approval, professional mask firmly in place. Robert and Susan sent congratulations through Sarah. Mark didn't respond, but he didn't forbid her from passing along news of his life either. Small steps, measured in years rather than moments. Olivia understood. She'd seen enough abuse survivors to recognize healing happened on its own timeline. Sometimes it meant forgiveness. Sometimes it meant maintained boundaries. Sometimes it meant building something new from the ashes of destruction. Mark built his new life with the same precision he'd used to destroy his old one. Career success, strategic relationships, calculated risks balanced against potential rewards. But now there was something else too, moments of genuine connection with Olivia, intellectual exchanges with Lily, even occasional family dinners with Sarah. Not the emotional intimacy he'd once thought he wanted, but something stronger. Something built on respect rather than obligation. The man who valued family above all else was gone. In his place stood someone harder but perhaps wiser, someone who understood that true strength came not from blind trust or complete isolation, but from choosing your connections carefully and maintaining them on your own terms. Emily and David's downfall continued, their lives spiraling into increasing desperation. Mark neither celebrated nor intervened. They were irrelevant now, their betrayal transformed from an open wound to a cautionary tale. He had built something new, something entirely his own. Not a fairy tale ending with easy forgiveness, but a calculated reconstruction of a life shattered by betrayal. On his terms, under his control. Epilogue. A decade later, Mark Ashton studied the quarterly reports on his tablet as his private jet cruised at 40,000 feet. In the decade since his revenge plot concluded, his tech empire had grown exponentially. What started as a successful company had transformed into a global conglomerate, with divisions spanning artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and biotechnology. The Singapore acquisition is complete, Olivia announced, looking up from her own device. After 8 years of marriage, she'd risen to become his company's chief legal officer, her brilliant strategic mind helping shape their corporate dominance. Numbers: 20% above initial projections. Their quantum research division exceeded expectations. Mark nodded, satisfied. Success had become a familiar taste, but he never took it for granted. The same ruthless focus that had driven his revenge now powered his business achievements. His phone buzzed, a message from Lily. At 32, she'd become a force in her own right. After graduating, she declined his offer to join his company, instead founding her own startup developing revolutionary encryption technology. He'd respected her decision, recognizing in it the same independence he valued in himself. The message was professional, as their communications always were. Patent approval came through. Interested in discussing potential collaboration between our R&D teams? Their relationship had evolved into something unique. Not father and daughter, but mutual respect between intellectual equals. They met quarterly for business discussions, their conversations focused on technology and innovation rather than the past. Lily's company released their new security protocol, he mentioned to Olivia. Market response is strong. Olivia smiled knowingly. You've been tracking their stock price. It's good business to monitor potential partners. They both knew it was more than that, but neither acknowledged it. Their marriage worked because they understood each other's boundaries. Olivia never pushed him to be more emotional, more forgiving, more normal than he was comfortable being. The jet began its descent into New York. They were attending a major tech conference where both Mark and Lily would be speaking. He on artificial intelligence ethics, she on quantum encryption. Their sessions were scheduled at different times, maintaining their carefully constructed professional distance. Sarah met them at the hotel, now serving as the conglomerate's chief strategy officer. She'd proven invaluable during their expansion, her insight helping navigate complex corporate politics. Emily tried to contact the office again, she reported quietly. Mark's expression didn't change. Same response as always. The years hadn't been kind to Emily. After David abandoned her, fleeing his gambling debts, she'd struggled. Her art career never recovered, reduced to teaching basic classes at community centers. She periodically attempted to reach out, seeking financial help or reconciliation, but Mark's position remained unchanged. Her messages went unanswered, her calls blocked, her existence acknowledged only as a cautionary tale. She's working at a small gallery in Chicago, Sarah continued. Living in a studio apartment, barely making ends meet. Not our concern. Mark turned to conference preparations, dismissing the subject. David's fate had been even more dramatic. His gambling addiction and mounting debts had forced him underground. Last reports placed him in Manila, running small-time scams to survive. The man who'd helped destroy Mark's family had himself been destroyed by his own weaknesses. Robert and Susan Ashton had indeed sold their mansion, downsizing to a modest condo. They sent periodic messages through Sarah, expressing regret and seeking connection. Mark never responded directly, but he quietly ensured their retirement accounts remained stable during market fluctuations. Not forgiveness, but a cold acknowledgement of biological reality. The conference center hummed with activity as tech industry leaders gathered. Mark moved through the crowds with practiced ease, his reputation preceding him. He wasn't just wealthy now, he was powerful, his company's innovations shaping the future of technology. He spotted Lily across the lobby, surrounded by her own admirers. She'd grown into a striking woman, her professional demeanor and technical brilliance earning industry-wide respect. Their eyes met briefly, a moment of recognition, a slight nod, then back to business. During his keynote speech, Mark noticed Olivia and Lily sitting in the same row, both taking notes on their tablets. The sight might have seemed strange to outsiders. His wife and former daughter, now business associates, united by intellectual respect rather than emotional bonds. But it worked for them. They'd all found their places in this new reality, roles defined by choice rather than obligation. The pain of betrayal had transformed into a kind of strength, a shield against false connections and empty sentiments. Later that evening, at a private dinner meeting, Lily presented her company's proposal for collaboration. Her team had developed quantum encryption protocols that could revolutionize digital security. Mark's AI division had created algorithms that could enhance their implementation. The synergy potential is significant, she concluded, her presentation precise and professional. Both companies could benefit substantially. Mark reviewed the projections. Your valuation seems optimistic. Based on current market trends and our patent portfolio, it's conservative if anything. Lily met his gaze steadily, confident in her analysis. He allowed himself a moment of pride. Not paternal, but professional. She'd become exactly what he'd hoped. Strong, independent, driven by intellect rather than emotion. Draw up the contracts, he told Olivia. Standard partnership terms. No special treatment, no family discounts. Lily wouldn't have wanted them anyway. She'd earned her success on merit alone, just as he had. The deal made headlines in tech publications. Tech giants forge historic partnership, no mention of their past connection. That history was irrelevant to the business at hand. Back home, Mark and Olivia's penthouse offered panoramic views of the city they'd conquered. Their living space reflected their shared aesthetic. Clean lines, minimal decoration, everything serving a purpose. No family photos, no sentimental artifacts. Lily's presentation was impressive, Olivia noted, reviewing the partnership documents. The technology is sound. Market timing is perfect. She reminds me of you. Same drive, same focus. Mark didn't respond. They didn't discuss the complex emotions behind their carefully structured interactions. Some wounds didn't need examination. They just needed to be transformed into armor. Their marriage had its own rhythm, built on mutual respect and shared ambition. They entertained rarely, preferring quiet evenings discussing business strategy or analyzing market trends. Physical intimacy was part of their routine, scheduled and efficient like everything else in their lives. They'd chosen not to have children. Mark had no interest in risking another family situation, and Olivia understood. Her own drive for success left little room for traditional domestic roles. Sarah visited monthly for strategy meetings, bringing carefully filtered family news. Lily's business achievements. Robert and Susan's quiet retirement. Emily's continued struggles. Mark absorbed the information without comment, filing it away like market data. The past was useful only as reference material, not as an emotional anchor. His revenge had been complete, but it wasn't the end of his story. He'd built something larger, more significant than mere retribution. His company shaped technological progress, influenced global markets, created future possibilities. The marriage that had failed, the daughter who wasn't his, the parents who betrayed his trust, all had been transformed into lessons learned, strengths acquired, armor reinforced. Lily's success pleased him precisely because it wasn't about their former relationship. She'd rejected the artistic world that had harbored her mother's betrayal, choosing instead the clear logic of technology. Her achievements were her own, untainted by the past. Their business partnership flourished because it was based on mutual benefit rather than emotional obligation. Quarterly meetings discussed market strategy and technological innovation, not personal matters. If others found their interaction cold, neither cared. Olivia understood him completely. Her own background in domestic violence advocacy had taught her that some betrayals couldn't be forgiven, only transformed. Their marriage was a partnership of equals, each respecting the other's boundaries and ambitions. The tech empire Mark had built dwarfed his original company many times over. His revenge scheme, once his driving focus, now seemed almost small in comparison to his global influence. Yet the lessons learned during that time: trust no one completely, verify everything, maintain absolute control, had shaped his business success. Emily's periodic attempts to contact him were handled by layers of staff, each trained to respond with polite, firm rejection. Her existence was acknowledged only in security protocols designed to prevent any possible interaction. David's fate served as a warning in Mark's private mental handbook. A man destroyed by his own weaknesses, unable to maintain the facade of success once his support system crumbled. Mark's investigators still tracked him, not out of personal interest but as a potential security concern. Robert and Susan's messages arrived regularly, delivered through Sarah's careful filtering. Their attempts at reconciliation were met with silence, but their financial stability was discreetly maintained. Mark viewed it as insurance against possible future complications rather than filial duty. The tech conference concluded with record-breaking partnership announcements. Mark and Lily's companies led the headlines, their collaboration promising to revolutionize digital security. Industry analysts praised the strategic brilliance of their alliance, unaware of the complex history behind their professional interaction. In their penthouse that evening, Mark and Olivia reviewed the day's developments. Their conversation moved efficiently between business topics, their personal lives so integrated with their professional goals that no separation was necessary. The market response exceeds projections, Olivia noted, studying the preliminary reports. Lily's team delivers results. The partnership will be profitable. They didn't discuss the emotional implications of working closely with his former daughter. Such conversations were unnecessary between them. Olivia understood that his validation of Lily's success was based purely on merit, untainted by their past connection. Sarah joined them for a late strategy session, bringing the quarterly family update she compiled. The report was brief, factual, stripped of emotional content. Emily, still teaching art classes, financial situation unchanged. David, last seen in Bangkok, running small investment scams. Robert and Susan, health stable, retirement adequate. Lily, company valuation up 40% following partnership announcement. Mark scanned the information with the same attention he gave market reports, noting relevant details, dismissing emotional implications. The past was useful only as data, not as a guide for future actions. Their lives had settled into a pattern of controlled success. Mark and Olivia's marriage operated like a well-structured business partnership, each partner contributing their strengths toward shared goals. Their influence grew steadily, their decisions shaped by logic rather than sentiment. Lily's company flourished under her leadership, her innovations driving technological progress. Their quarterly business meetings were models of professional interaction, focused entirely on strategic planning and market analysis. The betrayal that had once consumed Mark's life had been transformed into a foundation for greater achievements. The pain hadn't disappeared. It had been repurposed, converted into drive and determination, fueling his relentless pursuit of success. The empire he'd built stood as testament to his transformation. From a successful tech entrepreneur to a global power player, his influence extended far beyond personal revenge. His name now represented innovation, power, and uncompromising standards. Those who had betrayed him served as footnotes in his story, cautionary tales about the price of disloyalty. Their fates demonstrated the consequences of crossing Mark Ashton, yet he'd moved so far beyond mere revenge that their suffering was almost incidental now. His new life, built on the ashes of betrayal, stood as a monument to controlled power, not happiness in any traditional sense, but something more valuable. Absolute success on his own terms, unburdened by emotional complications or false obligations. The sun set over the city skyline, painting the penthouse in golden light. Mark stood at the window, Olivia beside him, both focused on their devices as they coordinated the next day's meetings. Below them, the city pulsed with energy, unaware that many of its digital interactions were shaped by technology he controlled. This was his real revenge, not just destroying those who betrayed him, but transcending them so completely that their existence became irrelevant. He'd turned personal pain into professional power, emotional betrayal into empire-building motivation. The boy who once valued family above all else had become a man who valued control and success. The transformation was complete, irreversible, and entirely by his own design. And that was enough. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.